Welcome to Deciphering Growth, the show that explores mental health from every angle. We bring you conversations with personal opinions, stories, and practical tips. We aim to break down the stigma and help you live your best life. So please sit back and let's dive in. Before we begin, we want to remind our listeners that this podcast represents the opinions of Tiffany Graves, Eric Stone, and the show's guests. The content provided is for informational purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. Please consult a healthcare professional for any medical questions. The views and opinions expressed are our own and do not represent those of our workplaces. Listening, reading, emailing, or interacting on social media with our content does not establish a doctor-patient relationship.
All right, we are back.
We are here.
And Eric has brought us a big topic today.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about why we became counselors and probably more interesting, why we've stayed counselors. So, Tiffany, how often do you think you've been asked either one of those questions? I know I've been asked quite a few times.
Too many times. Too many times that I can't lie and that question is like frustrating to hear.
Yeah, well, so Tiffany and I were talking before, we have kind of different reactions to this question, and neither are bad reactions. But Tiffany, do you want to say what your reaction is when you get this question of like, why'd you become a counselor?
It's just, for me, it's an annoying question because I don't think I hear very many people ask of like, well, why did you choose to work at a restaurant, or why did you choose to become a chef? Like, I feel like we get asked like, why did you choose to like work with people's emotional struggles? And I'm like, I don't know, the same reason you chose to do what you're doing. Like, it's a very frustrating reaction on my part. It's just one of those things that seems like you get asked so often, and I can't tell oftentimes if it comes from a place of like the stigma that still surrounds mental health, or if like it's legitimate interest, and it always feels like a loaded question for me.
So you think people are maybe testing?
Yeah, or like kind of that like sarcastic of like, why did you choose to do this job? And I'm like, because I wanted to. You know what? Because I wanted to. I'm gonna be stuck up and a bitch because I wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I see what to me, I think it's because it is so stigmatized that like we are the quote unquote safe people to talk to, obviously in counseling, but even just in general about like mental health topics. And I honestly, there's so much misinformation online that I think that also like is why some people want to talk to us, because it's just kind of a like, oh my goodness, like what's accurate, what's real, what's true. And I think a lot of other people like maybe don't get a chance to ask. So it's not that I think your reaction is invalid at all, Tiffany. I think it speaks to the issue of like, why are we the only people that you can still talk about this with?
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. It's that frustrating, like, how come we still get the question and it doesn't feel like a purely curious way. Sometimes it is, but more often than not, it's more of like it feels like it has a judgmental air about it when people ask that question.
We have to talk more offline of like who these people are, because I'm like, who is asking you in a judgy way? I'm like, oh my god.
But are you telling me you've never had someone come up to you like outside of her profession and give you that like that weird like little like side scrunchy eye, and they're like, "Why did you choose this job?"
No, I mean, like I've had people say things. I don't think as frequent as what you or I think I hear like it's just happened a few maybe times for you. So I don't know. I
Yeah.
think
It's
I
happened enough that when people ask what I do, I usually just say customer service, and people are like, oh, okay, because they're not as interested in that.
yeah, that's a good point. People really aren't interested in customer service, are they?
No. I think too, it's
Um,
probably related to like the people I find myself around, depending on the profession that they're in, versus probably other groups people surround themselves with or find themselves around. I should put it that way.
yeah, I mean, I used to get this question more, but it was when people were finding out I was going to going to a counselor program and then like wanting to understand. And then in my religious upbringing, like there was still more, there is less taboo today, but there's still some. But at the time, I was in this very interesting transitional period of where we were trying to challenge mental health stigma, at least in my faith community. Um, so, I mean, I know what you mean. Like, there are people who are asking stuff in a really judgy way. And I mean, I've had some interesting questions before where someone like asked me, where was the overlap of like spirituality and what I was doing, but they asked it a different way. So that was interesting. Um, so yeah, fair point. I won't ask Tiffany on the podcast today. But there is a theory that I think runs true for most people of being a counselor or becoming one. And it is true for me and a lot of my kind of kind of myself. So Carl Jung is like one of the pinnacle researchers, you could say founders of the field of psychology. All of us counselors have to study his materials and different things from him, and it holds up. I mean, you're going decades and decades later, but Carl Jung coined this term and this archetype called the wounded healer. And so this theory or archetype is that a counselor's own psychological wounds and self-awareness are tools for helping others. To treat others effectively, the counselor must undergo their own therapy. So there's another way of looking at this, though, which I think rings true, is that because of our individual experiences with mental health, we want to get involved with mental health and like this curiosity that keeps going, and then obviously goes to another level and licensure and things.
Mm-hmm.
That is what I think most counselors, 80% of them, if you put them on this podcast and we ask them that question, that would be what they would share, is that they were interested. So I know that that was true for myself, that I kind of pivoted to psychology and then was like, I don't know what to do with this. And then the people in my department had all done counseling or some form of that. I wanted to make a difference. And I felt like there was a program, I saw a path, I understood it. It made sense to me. And some things changed, but that was the way I wanted to become a counselor. And then just unfortunately, I'll give a trigger warning here. I'm going to discuss some personal losses to mental health, people who are no longer here, and I don't want anyone to be caught off guard. So if you're in the middle of a grief journey or maybe just something recent, like experiences related to suicide, maybe just skip right now. I'm not wanting to sideswipe anyone, but when I had a really dear friend in my undergraduate experience. We were housemates. He was a really dear friend of mine. He had his own mental health journey with depression. So my senior year, me and my other roommate, we were there for him back and forth. But then we both moved. We had graduated. He had another year. And unfortunately, he died by suicide that fall. So I was starting my master's program. I think I was maybe 6 or 7 weeks in, and found out that I had, a really good friend died. And so that was super upsetting. And so I went to the funeral, and it made it very like personal and real, and it just didn't, that, yeah. just sucked that happened. It was frustrating. It was hurtful. It was hard. And it just felt like something that, no one should have to go through. No one should experience even once, as in like losing someone. And yet there are some families and communities happens all the time. So that is more why I got maybe the jolt, trying to give that pain a purpose. And so doesn't mean that everything I did was perfect in school, but that was the reason I got involved more and wanted to make more of an impact.
Just want to give some silent presence to that. A very heavy but understandable reason to want to get involved in mental health.
I then got on my internship, and my clinical internship in my program was with a different area of mental health, and it was with a substance use hospital in the Indianapolis area. And that is when I started working more focused. Every client I worked with had some impact from the disease of addiction. And that's when I started looking at my own family. I'll keep it really broad, but there is definitely a genetic predispositioning in my family for addiction that's running generational to generation. And that was really unnerving. But I felt like I was a pretty smart person. I was almost done with my master's at this point, and I had done all these classes, all this stuff, and it only then just kind of clicked. So I think I had that experience that sometimes my clients have, where it's like, this isn't a problem. No, it's just them. And then boom, it's very unsettling. And, it's not something I did or didn't do. It's just there is some genetic predispositioning that can happen for some things. So that was another moment where I was like, okay, like I want to help people with this, because I think, you could really misunderstand that or not get support and not maybe be able to move forward from that experience.
Yeah. It sounds like those experiences for you were very impactful in wanting to share your knowledge and experiences with the world in a way that I would, this is me assuming, but I would assume helped heal you and helping heal those around you so that they're not feeling alone in that really difficult space and journey.
Yeah, I think that's a fair summary. And but I think why I stayed a counselor is a little different. But that was the getting there, I guess, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm curious, Tiffany, if you feel open to discussing why we've stayed counselors.
I can discuss why I stayed a counselor. My story for why I became a counselor is not as endearing as I would say most counselors. It was more of a, this is just kind of where I landed story.
That's okay.
That being said, the reason I stayed as a counselor really kind of is rooted in the struggles I had in becoming like a full-fledged counselor, like outside of being my baby counselor self. And just hitting a lot of walls around like what traditional therapy is supposed to look like and supposed to be, and kind of recognizing, wow, there's a whole underserved population of individuals who like probably feel extremely isolated and invalidated and not heard because we limit the ways we're allowing ourselves to connect with our clients. And this is why I now play video games with my clients.
in a therapeutic way, like in an evidence-based
In an
way.
evidence-based way, yes, there is.
Sorry. I would say everyone listening knows Tiffany is a very esteemed counselor, but I was just like, yes, you do that, but like you're doing it in like a systemic way, not like, because like we both know of like the clients who come in, they're like, yeah, my kid, when I was a teenager, they just played Xbox with me and didn't talk about it. Like you're doing way more than that. Just
Yes,
wanted to.
there is skills
Sorry.
behind the stories and behind the games and like
Sorry.
homework that goes home with people and things of that nature. There like a lot of training. It was 2 years of training to be able to make sure I'm implementing games in a way that is therapeutic and helps people like learn
So
and
cool.
externalize things. Yeah.
It's so
I
cool.
can, if we ever have another episode, maybe I can pull out my gaming card deck and ask you gaming related therapy skills questions.
Oh, that sounds so much more interesting than me trying what we just threw out as a topic before we came on to record this one. I feel like I'll have to do something to make it even, but that sounds fun. I love it so much.
Yeah, so that's kind of why I stayed and kind of like I don't want to say like I have the singular power to like change the landscape because like I don't, but like being a blip for the people that I can be and giving access to a different type of um therapeutic talk therapy in a sense has been a really big goal of mine.
Wow. What a great answer, Tiffany.
Yeah, that's why I stayed.
I like how in your journey you found like what was giving you meaning, what you enjoyed, and that like there's that genuine desire to help people in a way that you would want to be helped. Like, because I mean, it's a huge commitment. That's where I was like, I wanted to just stress like all of the investment of money, time, energy, all of this work you've done, because it's really cool, and it's not just like, oh, I'm gonna play Stardew Valley with my clients today. Like if it was me, like you've like this is like professional, like it's very professional, and it is really not. I hate to use the word novel, but it's so innovative. It's so cool, and it's really reaching people that maybe wouldn't be reached by other methods of therapy.
Yeah, it's really cool to watch people externalize their problems or take what they've learned by playing video games or RPGs and pulling them out and pausing them. I'm like, well, you told me about like this experience in this game. Like, how did you handle that? Like, that takes similar skills to manage this real life thing and helping them recognize like they have a lot of untapped potential because there's this stereotype around like, playing games and learning from games and like games can literally teach you so many things and help you process there are games that are people have created just because they needed an outlet to process grief and like now other people use that same outlet to process grief and loss and other things of that nature.
Wow. It's above my head, Tiffany, but I think it's amazing. Like I'm like, go you girl. I'm like, get it. I love it. I love it for you. It's totally your thing.
That being said, why did you say
So much easier to talk about someone else. It's like when it's like,
I know. This is what I warned you when we started. I was like, talking about ourselves is hard. We're throwing the neurodivergent hard thing right in there.
For real. Okay. Well, like I wouldn't even say like I mean I've been doing this since 2019, which to some people like wow it's a long time. Like it's like
That
almost I'm on year 7.
We've been doing this a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I've been doing it a while. It's felt like a while, and like I said, let's test it. So, but other people like I was just at a training today, and it was someone that's been in the field for 30 years. So like I want to acknowledge like I'm not like
I won't lie, that sometimes that's hard to imagine when I see people and they're like, I'm doing this for 30 years, and I'm like, this is awesome, but like that is
yeah.
dedication.
Okay, well, I have to break this down in phases to just kind of make, so
Let's do it.
I stayed a counselor during COVID because people legitimately, like, I mean, people need therapy, but like, some people may not even remember COVID, they may have blocked it out, but like when it was like peak COVID, like people had no one else they could connect with. Like, it wasn't like today where we're all maybe used to like a Teams call or Zoom. Like, it was like, where do we go? Like, where's it? I don't know if there are virtual AANA meetings. What do we do? Like, I mean, so like very quickly, in that season, like so many of my counselor friends and colleagues, like we were stepping in. We're like, we'll do we'll do this, we'll do that. Like when we, like, before we knew how COVID was even passed. So like that was one moment where I was like, this is really important. And then like supporting the aftermath. But I was working in corrections. I've always worked mainly with men impacted by substance use because they're impacted by substance use in the legal system. And I felt like they needed somebody to just be honest with them, but respect their experience and not talk down to them, but like work with them. And I didn't think that was how they were getting interacted with by what I had seen in other situations. And those men took me from this guy who had a passion for substance use, but really wasn't an expert yet, a guy who wanted to help, but wasn't sure how, to like someone who got, I will say, pretty good at helping that population and those needs and working with them and going. But I felt very grateful for them because some people think corrections, they think a lack of safety. And I don't want to downplay anybody who's like had those experiences. But when I say sincerely for me, I mean, obviously I'm a 6'5" male, like those men had my back. I can only think of one or two times when a client just was being so rude to me for no reason. But every other time they were having like, even those guys, they had stuff going, but like usually it was like, hey, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Mr. Eric. Like, I just found out I'm not going to see my kids for another 6 months. And that just pushed me over the edge. And then I had to come meet with you because I relapsed. And that's why I relapsed, or, you know. So it felt so meaningful. And it felt so needed, and it felt like it was a real difference making. And I have since switched into like supervision roles and other things, but honestly, I was so enthralled with that work. Like, it is so special to my heart. I love those memories and experiences and those clients. But then I realized that I was burning myself out. Pretty hard in that role. And so then I switched to some other ones. And so why I've stayed a counselor is I feel like had some unique training, some unique opportunities and experiences. And like, there is such a sliver niche that I'm in where I get to use that knowledge of recovery and addiction and now problem gambling or corrections or veterans or neurodivergence and trauma and religious trauma. And like, I'm in this world that has felt so random at times. So like, what am I doing? Does this even make sense at times? And now it's like, that's my niche. Like, that's my literal niche. Everybody I see is in that sliver. And you might be like, well, that's a wide sliver. But what I mean to say is like, they may not have like all of those things, but they for sure have 3 or 4 of those things every single time. And it's like, it's so validating to do that work, but also I really love having those people succeed, because I felt like I had a hard time as a therapist finding a therapist. So that's one of my passions. It's like, I think I won't speak for Tiffany at all or even ask you questions to do, but like, I have found it really difficult as a counselor to find a counselor and not have it be strange or weird or uncomfortable, which is maybe an episode we should talk about because I think it's ridiculous.
No, I agree.
So I love to be a part of that. Well, I've seen people heal. I also think I can speak into some situations because I've worked with I've seen a lot of different stages of different things. And so now I'm working with people on an outpatient way, and I'm seeing them I'm seeing really quickly things like domestic violence. I'm seeing things that are not like very coercive and not safe. And so then I'm able to kind of weave that into my couples therapy or individual therapy and really focus on empowering those people and connecting them to those resources I'm aware of because I think it's just there's lots of silos. And so it's like you're an EMDR therapist or so like I sit in the middle of a lot of those, but not fully in one because it's like I don't want to do that. I don't think that's really that helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a long answer, but that's my real answer.
Yeah. Enjoy like being able to be flexible and engaged with your clients.
Yeah, and I think there's just a lot of like BS out there. Like I haven't ranted about life coaches in a really long time. Some of them
No,
are
no,
certified.
oh, I don't
Some
want
of
to
them
get
are
too far off
certified.
track. I just saw somewhere someone was asking for a life coach, and I'm just like I don't want to like completely roll life coaches under the bus. Like I understand like they can be helpful for some people, but
Yeah,
like in a like therapeutic lens, what the fuck? Is all I gotta say about that.
I think I know of one doing cool work. Like they work as they're in like recovery. They've done all these extra trainings, and so then they at this organization provide like life coaching, and it's really kind of like really like on site. It's really cool. So I was like,
Mhm.
okay, that's a good example of that. But like
Yeah, but I
people
imagine
being,
they're not like coming in and like, all right, you have anxiety, let's sit down and like
mhm,
process it. It's more of like a wholesome, holistic, like, all right, like what do we
yes,
want to like life change?
yeah, that's a good critique of it. I think it's the unregulated part, but I think our field's a very young field in general, and so even though like me, I mean Tiffany, you and I have not been in it as long as that person about like 30 years, like our field's very young, and so it's changed a
Mhm.
lot even from pre-COVID to now. I mean, and I just have to say, like, I'm not just talking like telehealth and stuff, like I'm talking like access to care, insurance, what people want. And so honestly, Tiffany, I think because of COVID, a lot of people learned how to access their mental health benefits and the benefits of
Mhm.
therapy. And then that is part of the challenge now is that those insurance companies are like, wow, we're spending a lot of money on counseling. What do we do?
Yeah, we'll have
For
to like
sure.
make a word so we can talk about insurance and not get in trouble or first lander.
I I mean it's we're just discussing what I think are some of the trends that have contributed to where we are now. And so
Mhm.
I like to fight for that access to care. I like helping people get their Medicaid and know like how to use their insurance or how to manage things, how to navigate. Unfortunately, like, okay, well, like this level of care is too expensive for you. You're not willing to do that. Would you go to this level of care? It's this like, because it's what people want to know. Like, it shouldn't be so opaque. Like, if I go to Starbucks, I know what I'm spending on a coffee. It shouldn't be like, oh, if I go to this IOP program, how much is it? Like, I
No,
mean, and
sorry,
it's
I should
like
say
that.
I agree. Because there's so many times when, like, now that I've started working with insurance and someone's like, oh, like, I want to know, like, my insurance benefits and all these things. And then I, like, go through all the fun rigmarole of, like, pulling it up and, like, reading it. And they're like, oh, I, like, didn't, like, this was never explained to me. Like, I didn't know my benefits don't actually cover this until it hits this. Or, like, there's this. Or there's these weird
Yep.
deductibles and co-insurances. And it's like, it would be nice if insurance just gave like a wonderful like front page PDF of like copay for your doctor, copay for mental health, or like deductible like but they make it so complicated. So many hoops to jump through just to get access.
They sure do. So those are some of the reasons I think I've stayed in it. I mean, it's also it's a set of skills I don't ever really want to lose, like running a session, helping someone, meeting someone. Like I think it's really like valuable and important. So And it's really like the honor of like one of the honors of my life. Like, I mean, I think being a yeah, like it's just not something everyone will get the chance to do for, and it's not I think when someone's coming to you for that, I mean, it's like you are being trusted with so much vulnerable personal things. And it's a real privilege and an honor. And it's not one that I ever want to have lost on me, that like, wow, people are really putting some trust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is a really unique and vulnerable, connected space that we get to create with our clients.
I agree. It's a honor.
Yeah, it's something that I would say that not many, if very few, health professionals ever get to experience when working with their clients.
Yeah,
It
it's a good
reminds
point.
me, like, have you ever seen like the pictures where there's a bunch of hands on like a tribal elder or like a cultural elder, like the patchwork quilts that have like patches from like different families and things of that nature?
No, I don't think so.
It's what it reminds me of. Like if you've ever been to, well, I don't know if the state fairs do it anymore, but like I know when you go to the Kentucky State Fair, they have like all the quilts, and sometimes they'll have like patchwork quilts, and that's kind of what it reminds me of our job. Like we are essentially that whole quilt where like every square is a client we've worked with, and how like it makes up in a weird way our clients make up like part of like our like very different patchworked quilt in a unique way. And we get to be like a very small blip of their quilt as well.
That's really what a beautiful word picture. I like that. Yeah, I've like processed that. I've literally never heard that before. Like that's so interesting.
Yeah, it's just something that was across my mind. I was looking at something, um, and I was like, I like really don't think we like often stop and appreciate just like, yes, we see our clients for maybe 2% of like a day, but like how much like significant impact like we have on like their general life journey.
Yeah, I mean, I get sometimes clients coming back because I've like again done this for 7 years, so I've seen clients in different phases of my career or their lives, and like that's pretty cool. Like
Mm-hmm.
because it's usually tune-ups on stuff. It's not like it's yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool.
Yeah, it's sometimes it feels really unprofessional, but I like it's hard not to get excited when you have those clients who have made significant progress and you're like, I'm like so excited for you.
Ooh,
Yeah. Well, I think that answers the question of like why we stayed.
I think we did this one justice. This went better
Yeah.
than I think we thought it was gonna go. Yeah,
Yeah, I definitely was not feeling the topic, but we did it.
we we did a hard thing, and then you asked hard questions. So I feel like it really was just a very classic us recording.
This is true. I am notorious for asking hard questions.
Well, that's why you're a good counselor. Maybe that's why you've stayed a counselor. Is you need an outlet for all your hard questions to ask.
I need people to answer the hard questions.
Yeah.
All right. Well, is there anything else, Eric, you want to share with us today of like why you stayed or
Um. Well, I will say that I saw some stats last week that the surge in demand since 2020 for counselors was 250%. And so they have not grown counselor programs. So
oh
it's like, I
boy.
hate to say it, like, it's like a demand that like will never be able to be ceased. So, I think I'm not talking to clients because I want to be very clear. It's not the client's and job to take care of the counselor. Like it's literally never their job. But I would maybe throw out like those of us who have colleagues or friends, or if you're a family member, like just checking in on, the counselors in your, like, just like whatever that looks like. Cause it is a really tough job. And I think maybe the part I would say is tough is like you like, I mean, you literally can't say anything. And I know there's other jobs that have like, I mean, I can't say, yeah, John Smith did this, and that really messed with me. Like you literally can't. Like
Mhm. Yeah. I think
you,
that is the hardest part when
yeah,
you yourself are impacted by that vicarious trauma and you're just like, this is just a cup I get to carry until I get to my own therapist and passing it
yeah.
on.
And even your own therapist, like, just to be specific, like you can't say, "Hey, John Smith," like
Yeah.
you have to still. So it's like, and I'm not trying to be like bitching. I'm just trying to say, like, even when I'm in my own personal therapy, I'm still holding space and carrying my clients with me because that never stops. I'm never going to not hold their confidentiality in their space. So it's just like, I
Mhm.
just want to say there's a weight with that, but it's like an honor too. But I just think like that's where it's like, it's just very difficult sometimes. Where it's like, if we know that there's more and more people that need it, access is getting harder. Like
Mhm.
it's just tough. And then I always think about like what kind of access, like, I mean, just because there's a mechanic doesn't mean that's the one I'm going to go to, right? Like just because there's a counselor with a insurance plan, that doesn't mean that may be the counselor for you.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
not to go on and on and up, but I just think there's a lot of things that are hard and challenging. And so I don't, you clients do not need to take care of us counselors. I would never ever say it. But friends and family, like I think, yeah, that stinks. And I think there's plenty of hard jobs, don't get me wrong, but it's like sometimes I'll be honest, like it's tough when you have a very intense trauma session and then it's like, okay, like weekend time. Like we're meeting right now on a Friday, like it can be tough. It's like, okay, like heavy trauma session. Okay, like let's go have family. Like it's hard. Like I mean it's possible, but it's hard. Like and I don't fault anybody who's not able to do that sometimes.
Mhm. Yeah, it is hard.
So you said if there's any one more thing, that's my one more thing. I don't have anything else to say, but I do appreciate everyone being here. We have found that these more real conversations are more impactful and helpful for people than maybe us preparing a bunch of things and just talking. But if you have a topic or an idea that you'd like to share with us, we are very open. We are trying to get more relevant, kind of timely with what we've been doing. So that's
Mhm.
where you may notice a slight change in how our topics have been going.
Yeah. People wanna get to know us, it seems like is the trend there.
Yeah, or know like how we're doing with it. And we are obviously not perfect, and neither is anyone listening.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was very well said. I don't think I have anything to add other than like, we'll see you next time.
See you next time, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Deciphering Growth. We hope you found our conversation helpful and insightful. Subscribe to our podcast for more episodes and check out our Patreon for more content. Don't hesitate to contact us on social media if you have any questions or comments. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep growing.